today we are going to have a workshop on restaurant procedure. What are the different types of covers set up in the restaurant? This is, as I mentioned, this is a part of a restaurant procedure. Whenever guest enters in the restaurant, whenever you enter in the restaurant as a guest, the first thing what you see, the restaurant tables are ready to cater the guest. So cover setup is an important part of pre-preparation of service. It is called mise en place, right? So in today's session, I will be covering the topics. What is cover? First we need to understand what is cover. Then we'll move forward for the what are the different types of cover which is laid in the restaurant. Then we'll go ahead with the basic rules or guidelines that need to be followed when you are laying cover in the restaurant. I hope you all are ready. So, what is cover? So, when we use the term as a cover, cover is a term which is defined as the place which is allotted on a table for laying cutlery, crockery, glassware and cloth napkin for one person. That is called cover. So when we serve food in the restaurant, so always table is ready with the required cutlery, crockery on the table. The cutlery, crockery which is laid on the table as a part of cover, it is based on the type of menu what you are going to serve. Before we proceed for the types of cover, first we need to understand the basic types of menu, because the cover setup will be based on the types of what or the types of menu or the menu what you are serving on a guest table. So there are basic two types of menu. One is a la carte and the second one is table d'hôte menu. So the cover setup is done according to the menu which is offered in the restaurant. When we speak about the multi-cuisine restaurant or fine dine restaurant where a la carte menu is offered. So a la carte means it is individually priced menu, and table d'hôte it is set of meal with fixed price with a limited choice. So we'll proceed with the cover setup first, and then once the cover setup is done, I will explain you what are the rules or points to be remembered when you are laying cover for the restaurant. So let's start with the cover setup for the a la carte. Now before I proceed for the cover setup, just I would like to introduce with my two buddies. So I have my two second year students, Pranav Kalekar and we have Suresh Darekar, both are from the second year. So they are going to help me for a today's session. So let's proceed.
Yes.
Yeah. So whenever we are going to start the cover setup, the first thing we start with the center table appointment. So these are the center table appointments. So center table appointment, in other word you can say A, B, C. A stands for ashtray and B stands for badwas and C stands for the cruet set. So this is called center table appointment. It should be in the center of the table, and because of that it is called center table appointment. Now here one more point you need to remember. Nowadays at the public place smoking is banned. So ashtray may or may not be the part of cover. It's subject to whether it is allowed in the restaurant or not. Because most of the restaurant they have a separate smoke where you can lay your ashtray. But as a standard I have to show you what is the center table appointment. Now next, when you have to set the cover, the best way you have to stand behind the cover. So you will have a judgment for the placing cover in a right way. So in a la carte cover is basically we lay side plate, side knife or B&B plate, B&B knife, fish knife and fish forks. So you must be wondering why only fish knife and fish fork, not any other cutlery. When it comes to a la carte, we all know that a la carte is a individually priced menu, and because of that we have no idea when guest comes in the restaurant what the guest is going to order. As per the classic sequence, the first course on a menu is hors d'oeuvre. So most of the time under hors d'oeuvre we serve seafood or fish preparation, and because of this reason when we lay cover, a la carte cover, so we have to lay fish knife and fish course, because hors d'oeuvre is the first course on classic sequence. So let's start. So this is a BMB plate, side knife, or BMB plate and BMB knife. So side plate is placed on a left side of the guest, BMB knife. So this is the fish knife and fish fork. So as I mentioned in the beginning, when you have to set the cover, so a la carte mein we have to set the cover for the first course. So first course is a hors d'oeuvre. So it is assuming that the guest is going to order for the hors d'oeuvre, which is first course on a classic sequence, and that is the reason only fish knife and fish course is laid on a guest table. So in case guest ordered directly for the soup or any other course, in that case the cover need to be changed according to the food which is ordered by the guest. Glassware and napkin. So now the next part is we need to do a setup for the napkin as well glassware. Glassware will be on the tip of knife and the napkin will be either in the center of the cover or you can place it on a side plate. So when you have to place it on the side plate, the simple fold will do. But when you are placing in a center of the cover, so this is a complete a la carte cover. So let's sum up before we proceed to the next type of cover. So for a la carte cover, we start with the from left side to towards the right. So left side we have a BMB plate, BMB knife, fish fork, fish knife, cloth napkin, water glass and center table appointment. This is a la carte cover. Okay. Now we'll go for the next cover setup, that is tabla cover setup. Yes, please. Now we'll move towards. As earlier I had mentioned, we are going to start the cover setup with the center table appointment. So center table appointment will be ashtray, bud vase and cruet set. So A, B, C, ashtray, bud vase and cruet set. How we have done the cover setup for the a la carte? Same way we will proceed for the cover setup from left to right. I always recommend when you do the cover setup, stand behind the chair, so you will have an adjustment for a setting cover which will be in a right place. Cutlery, especially when you have to lay the cutlery, it should be in a right place which is convenient for the guest. So I will be starting from the left side. For the tabla dud cover setup, we need a cutlery. Just I'll list down the cutlery or items which need to be laid on the cover. Side plate, side knife, AP fork, fish fork, AP knife, fish knife, AP spoon or soup spoon, then dessert spoon, dessert fork, and of course there will be a glassware and as well cloth napkin. While handling cutlery, crockery, one has to remember you have to hold at the bottom. Avoid touching on the tip of knife or at the prong side of the fork or at the bowl of the spoon because it is unhygienic. So I'll set one more cover because after this cover setup I have to explain you the basic rules that need to be followed while laying the cover. For that reason I need to have at least 2 cover setup so I can explain you well. So let's do another cover which is very similar to the first cover. Move forward from that side. Sequence will remain the same, left to right. So cloth napkin we are putting in the center of the cover. Avoid touching unnecessarily to napkin because it is unhygienic. At some places, keeping in mind this point, some places they prefer to have a simple triangle fold which is kept on the side plate. While placing napkin, you need to remember the visible side of napkin should be facing towards the guest. Right? So now we have done the basic 2 cover setup, a la carte and tabla dud. Now moving ahead for the next cover setup. So now in this cover I have done glassware setup in 2 different ways. When I will explain you the cover about the rules and regulation, I will explain you what is the reason behind I have kept the glasses in 2 different ways. Okay. Now these are the two basic traditional cover setup which is you will find in any fine dining restaurant. Nowadays, what is the recent trend going on in the industry, that also I will show you. Nowadays at most of the places, the fish knife, fish fork, AP knife, AP fork, instead of going for the all two different cutlery which may feel the crowded for the guest. So the industry also now following the one more version of cover setup, that is called classic cover setup. So what is that classic cover setup? That also I will show you, which is very simplified form of the cover setup. So that most of the places they have nowadays you can see the restaurant tables are laid with the classic cover setup. Okay. So in classic cover setup nothing, just we have to lay, instead of fish knife, fish fork, we have to lay AP knife, AP fork and AP spoon. That's all. Let's go and see how the classic cover is there. Okay, on table one side is a la carte cover and other side I will show you the classic cover. So you will understand the difference between, what is the difference between a la carte and classic cover. So as a part of cover, we have a AP spoon, AP knife, AP fork, side plate, side knife, and then of course there will be a center table appointment along with so visible side of cloth napkin is facing towards guest. We have done such a nice wonderful napkin fold, that is the reason I am keeping in the center of the cover. So when, as I mentioned, like when guests, some places they prefer to have a simple fold keeping in mind the hygiene factor. But when you have to do a nice napkin fold, definitely it helps or to enhance the beauty of the restaurant. So when you have a same setup of napkin fold in the restaurant, so definitely the beauty of restaurant will be better than simple napkin fold. That's for sure. So now almost we have done with the cover setup. So we have done cover setup for the a la carte, tabla and classic covers. So classic cover, as I said, it is a new version or this is a trend which is followed by most of the hotels or fine dining restaurants. Do you have any question to ask? Okay. So now again we'll move back to the cover setup of tablado, because as I said I have to explain you what are the rules to be followed when you are laying cover, or when what are the rules to be observed while laying the cover. So if you have seen all the three covers, can you share the camera for three covers? So we have a three cover setup, but there are few factors which is common. Can anyone tell me what are the few factors which is common in terms of the placing items on the table? if you can answer my question, I'll be more than happy for it. What is the common factor in terms of laying atom on a table?
ABC.
The placing of atom on the table. I am giving the hint, placing of atom on the table. Student from second, third year, if they can guess. Is there any question? Any answer?
No, ma'am.
As of now, no answer? Okay. Okay, then I'll explain you, no worries, don't worry. If you can answer well, otherwise I'll explain you. So let's go to the tabla dud cover setup. So tabla dud cover setup have more number of cutlery, crockery on the table. That is the reason I have to explain you what are the basic rules need to be followed. So before we proceed to the rules or points to be remembered, let's understand what is the standard cover size of a la carte and tabla dud. Now here you can see the number of atom which is placed for a tabla dud cover is more compared to a la carte. So standard cover size for the tabla dud cover 24 inches in the length and 18 inches in the width. So this is the standard cover size. And for a la carte, length will remain the same, that is at 24 inches, and number of atoms on a la carte is compared to lesser than tabla dud. So the width will be 15 inches. Why the standard cover size you need to remember when you will become a manager. So you need to have an idea how much space is going to be occupied in the restaurant when you have to calculate the capacity of the restaurant. So of course there will be other factor as well which need to be calculated, the space around the table and all. At this moment just you need to remember what is the standard cover size. So standard cover size for a la carte 24 in the length and 15 into width. For the tabla dud remain the same, that is a 24 inches and width will be 18 inches. Okay. Now moving ahead with the same, like what are the basic rules that need to be followed or points to need to be remembered when you are setting cover. Okay. So first we start with the checking the tables. So table need to be in a serviceable manner. What do you mean by the serviceable manner? Table is not wobbling, right? And chair also in a good condition. So tables and chair in serviceable manner, they are clean. The next comes to your linen part. So linen tablecloth what we are using for laying of table need to be spotlessly clean, well pressed tablecloth. Okay. Then when we have to lay a cutlery, crockery on a table, you have to make sure each and every atom is placed on the table is half inch away from the edge of the table. Half inch away from the edge of the table. Otherwise, when the guest is sitting on a table, it may fall down. That is the reason you have to keep it half inch away from the edge of the table. So, center table appointment, as name suggests, it should be in the center of the table. Ashtray, bed vase and cruet set. So, the most important point in relation to the bed vase or keeping some decorative piece on a table as a centerpiece, one has to remember that it should not be a barrier between two guests when they are doing the conversation. So the height of flower vase or bed vase should be smaller. So preferably flat flower arrangement, not exactly the flower arrangement. One simple bird with the green leaf in a small vase is preferred. And all flowers which is kept on the bed vase should be fresh. So no tilted flowers. So water need to be changed on a regular basis, then only flower will remain fresh. So cruet set will be in the center of the table as a center table appointment. Let's start with the placing of cutlery and crockery and glassware on the table. So all knives and spoon will be right side of the guest. This is the guest. So all spoons and knives should be on the right side of the guest, except BMB knife. So BMB knife is used for the applying butter on a bread, and the BMB plate is used for keeping bread piece on a plate. So that is the reason it is always on the left side. Then all forks will be on the left side of the guest, except when you are serving like a spaghetti or noodles. In that case, if you are serving spaghetti or noodles as a main course, in that case fork will go on the right side of the guest. This is an exception that you need to remember. Next, dessert indication, that is called dessert spoon and dessert fork. It should be on the top of the cover. This is called the top of the cover. So dessert fork and dessert spoon will be on the top of the cover. I need a full plate. So next point, you need to remember when you are laying knife. So cutting edge. This is the knife. This area is called this area is cutting edge of knife. This cutting edge of knife should be facing towards the left or towards the BMB plate. When you place cutlery more than one, make sure it will not touch each other. Now, placing of glassware. You can see on a table we have a place of glassware in two different ways. So this is a straight and the second one is a 45 degree. So when you have to lay a glasses on a table, if glasses is more than one, in that case, so either you can lay a glasses straight or you can lay a glasses in a 45 degree angle. So how will be the sequence? Generally we lay glasses on a cover is water glass, then wine glasses. In wine glasses, white wine and then red wine. So water goblet will come first, water glass will come first, and then it will be white wine glass and then red wine glass. So why this sequence? We cannot keep the red wine glass first, because as per the classic sequence, when we service, first we are going to serve white meat, that is a fish. So fish is accompanied by white wine, and that is the reason after water glass we always keep white wine glass and then followed by red wine glass, because red meat is served after white meat, or fish is served meat is served after fish course, and that is the reason we have to keep this in this sequence. Either you can lay a glasses straight or you can lay in a 45 degree angle. Water glass, white wine glass and then red wine glass. Right? So next point, cover need to be well balanced. Well balanced means what? Now here as a training restaurant we have a limited number of tables. So in that case it's fine, but when it comes to restaurant or in industry, the whatever number of cutlery you want to set on the table, it should be the same for all tables. Let's say if you have a 10 tables in the restaurant and you are laying tabla dud cover which includes all this cutlery, you cannot keep the some of the table with the soup spoon, some of the table soup spoon is missing. Either you lay for all cover, other you don't lay. That is called cover need to be balanced. Okay. Then next point, cover need to be exactly opposite to each other, or cover need to be parallel to each other. If you can stand behind the chair, you can see, you can come from this side. Knife need to be parallel to opposite side covers fork, or cover need to be parallel to the knife. This is called cover need to be opposite to each other. Right? Now the next point. So now here you can see the cutlery which is laid on the table, but how much distance you need to keep between knives and forks. So in the beginning it may be difficult for you to judge the distance between two cutlery. So what you can do? You can keep the plate not like this. You have to keep the plate like this. So making sure that when you place the plate, cutlery will not go underneath of the plate. Plate के रिंग के नीचे कटलरी नहीं जानी चाहिए. So this is how I'll show you. This is how you can take a judgment when you are laying cover. So the wrong way of placing that also I will show you, so you will understand the difference. So if cutlery goes under the rim of the plate, is not right. This is wrong way. This is the wrong way. What will be the right way? It should be little away. Yes, now this is the right way to keep the cutlery, or the cutlery will be at the right distance. Thank you. Now next, placing of the glasses. So glasses, when you have to keep the glasses, so glasses is always placed on the right side on the tip of knife. Now here we also have a more than one knife. In that case you might confuse where to keep the glasses. So remember, glasses, it should be on the tip of largest knife. On the tip of largest knife. So generally, in case if you have a tablado, it will be joint knife or it will be AP knife, which is largest one. So on the tip of knife. And generally, when the restaurant is on, when the guest is not sitting on the table, we prefer the glasses will be in a downward position to avoid dust goes inside in the glass, and that is the reason we always keep the glasses upside down, right? When the guest is sitting on the table, so you can keep the glasses straight. This is basically because of the hygiene purpose. Now, next point, butter dish, where you are going to keep the butter dish, because when we serve the food which accompany with the bread and butter, so butter dish is always on the left side above the fork. So this is the prong area above the fork. You have to keep the butter dish, which is very close or near to the BMB knife and BMB plate. So it is basically convenient way for doing it, right? So I'll show you butter dish, where to keep the butter dish, and butter dish is always kept with the butter knife. Butter knife for the plate. Cover with the focus. Cover with the focus. So butter dish is on the top of fork with butter knife. So as a beginner, some of the student may have some questions related to why the placing of atom on a table is a left, right. There are some, I will not say the logic, but there are some what you can say rule, or maybe for the guest convenience you have to follow it. Why the knife need to be placed on the right side of the guest, not on the left. Some people are lefty, yes, some people are lefty, let them do the setup change, but when you are laying in the restaurant, you have to follow the same rule. Because when you lay a knife on the right, so we use the knife with the right hand only. Because knife, when you are holding knife in your right hand will have a more energy to cut the food, right? So you have to hold like this, and then you can, when you cut the food, or when you cut the piece bite size, so the knife you will be able to do with the right hand in a better way, and that is the reason you have to keep the knife on the right side of the guest. Now the next will be after meal, guests may go for the tea or coffee after meal beverages, that is the tea or coffee, then where you have to place the cup and saucer. When the guest is having meal, so the cup and saucer will be placed on the right side of the guest. The handle of cup is on the right side, right? So you can place that side. So now here we have a cover setup for the tabla dud. In tabla dud we have done the cover setup for the 4 to 5 courses. So the item which is laid on a cover, it is up to 4 to 5 courses. Now sometimes the situation may be or scenario may be the cover setup can be the menu can be more than 5 courses.
Okay, ma'am, there is a question.
Yes.
From Yash. Where should we keep the fork in case of noodles serving?
Yeah, the fork can be placed in place of knife.
Okay.
When you are having the noodles as a main course, the fork will be placed on the right side of the guest.
Okay.
Yes. I hope you answer your question, Yash.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. He got the answer.
Okay. Now the point what I was explaining. So when you have a menu which is having a more number of courses, in that case, how you are going to lay a cutlery on a table? Let's say example, if you have 9-course menu or 7-course menu. So if you lay a cutlery for all the courses, table will be occupied with the cutlery and crockery. So in that case, what you have to do? In that case, you have to lay a cutlery or cover setup up to 5 course. Till 5 course, आपको cutlery lay करनी है. And yes.
Okay, there is one more question, ma'am, from
Yes.
Garima, ma'am. How can we make the table look more decorative?
Yes, you can have table decoration can be on the basis of kind of occasion guest is coming for the dining or what occasion guest is coming for a dining. On that basis you can do a lots of creativity to make a guest dining experience more memorable. So we can have we used to have a nice colored rice ka decoration. You can make a frill ka decoration on the table. So which suits to your occasion. Accordingly you can make your table more attractive. But at the same time you have to remember that the guest is having a meal on the table. Keeping in mind you have to follow the decoration. You can use the flowers, you can use the satin frill, you can use the material which is more safe when it comes to dining table. Yes.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. So I was explaining about the number of cutlery, crockery which we need to lay on the table. So when you have a 7-course menu or when you have a 9-course menu, more than 5-course menu, in that case you have to lay a table up to 5 course only. Otherwise your table will be occupied with the maximum number of cutlery. There will be no place to keep the food on the table. Right? So after that, after 5 course, as and when you are serving the food, before you get the food on a table, you need to lay cutlery, require cutlery on a table. Guest should not wait on the table for the cutlery, otherwise food will get cold. And that is the reason after 5 courses, whatever cutlery is required for the service of food, it needs to be placed first and then you have to bring the food on the table. Any question, guys?
Yes, ma'am. There is
Yes.
another question from Garima, ma'am, only.
Yes.
Is it essential to keep the ashtray on the table?
Yes, actually not necessary. As a part of standard, I have shown this. Nowadays, smoking cigarette in a public is a ban. So most of the restaurant they are having a smoking zone when the cigarette smoking is not allowed, you not necessarily have to keep the ashtray on the table. Wherever smoking zone is there, you can keep the ashtray as a part of cover.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Any question, guys?
If you want to ask any question, please ask.
Yes.
Okay, Garima ma'am has said thank you for the answer.
Welcome. So, just to sum up with our today's session. So, today we have, I hope you learned about the definition of cover, what is cover, then what are the different types of cover, and basic rules to be followed while laying cover. Yes, there is question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
One student, Athar, is asking how to set up table for birthday party.
So, birthday party के लिए what age group? Accordingly, you can decide. Balloon decoration is the very common. You can have a nice candlelight. You can decorate your table with the flowers also, because table will have a limited number of limited place. So you will have some limitation to do the table to decorate your table for the birthday. But of course, no doubt, the candle will be the best option or most suitable option for the birthday celebration as a part of decoration.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Another question is from
Yes.
Yash. In case of a la carte French classical menu, set up how many times we could set the table cutleries?
See, it is Yash. It is depend how the guest. Suppose guest, I have explained you. If guest order for the 5-course meal, in that case, when the a la carte setup is done in the restaurant, then you have to do the cover setup as and when it is required. As and when it is required, I mean to say, कि once the guest is finished his previous course, before you get the next course, the cutlery need to be laid for the coming course before food comes on the table.
Okay.
A la carte का मतलब होता है individually priced menu and it is a separate menu. So guest may order for 3 course, guest may order for 5 course, and the basis of guest menu you have to do the setup.
Okay.
Yes.
I hope, Yash, you got your answer. That's all, ma'am.
Any question, guys?
Yes, ma'am. Great. Yash said.
Okay, thank you, Yash. I appreciate you are asking the question. It means you are really interested in the topic. Thank you. So, almost I have tried to explain most of the points related to the cover setup. So, this is the traditional way, as I mentioned, like a la carte and tabla, and new version which is very common nowadays in an industry or in fine dine restaurant, that is the classic cover. So today I covered the topic, what is the definition of cover, 3 different types of cover, and basic rule or points to be remembered while laying cover. I hope you enjoyed today's session.
Yes, ma'am. Everyone is saying great session.
I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.